Hey guys, welcome back. This is Indranil again, and this time I am back with a CSS Grid tutorial. So in this tutorial, we will be understanding the grid layout properties like align items, justify content, and few more. So in total, we have six properties. The first one is justify content. Let me make the font a little bigger so that everyone can see it. Okay, then justify items, then align content, align items, align self, and justify self. So the reason I put couple of uh, spaces between these items is because the last two you see here are only applicable to the individual items in the grid. Okay, and the first four properties are applied on the grid container. So this might be little uh, confusing for the entire beginners, complete beginners who are very new to CSS Grid or Flexbox. So in Flexbox you don't see justify items and I believe align content. So these two are missing from there. I might be wrong, but I've never seen anybody using these two in Flexbox. Okay, all right. So and justify self is also not there, I believe, in Flexbox. Never mind. We are not dealing with Flexbox. We are focusing on grid. So I've opened CodePen here with a simple HTML markup that has got a wrapper here. Okay, sorry, a wrapper div which has three divs, first, second, and third, with a class FST respectively. And what I did here, I simply gave the wrapper a background of floral white, is this color, a width of 100% to occupy the entire space here, and sorry, a height of 400 pixels so that we can have a little bit of room to play with. Also, for each and every div that is inside this wrapper, I've given a width of 100% and a height of 100 pixels. Okay, so after doing this, let's start playing with the grid. I'm gonna remove the text color here because we are not using any text, and each box has got a different background color, as you can see. And for your information, if you have noticed, I'm using Mozilla Firefox because this has got a grid inspector here, which is very handy, and that will help you a lot to understand how the grid alignment works. Okay, so the grid, uh, the display grid property has should always be applied to the container element. So in our case, the container is a wrapper, so I'm gonna use the display grid here. This this creates a grid here, as you can see. So these numbers are placed automatically, so we have only single column right now and four different rows. Okay, now what I want, I will define a grid template columns here. Okay, I'm gonna define, let's say, three columns of 100 pixel each. I'm defining these manually, but if you want, even use the repeat command also. So the very first thing to notice is that each of these boxes gets placed in a single column. Okay, that is occupying 100% of its width because we defined it here. Okay, Of course we can lower this value to see how it behaves. Okay, now it's 50%, but for the time being I'm keeping it 100%. We will require 50% or a lower value than 100% to see other properties. Okay, but first of all, I will show you uh, the justify content property. Okay, so just notice that the row is occupying the entire space. Okay, we have single row now, that is extending from top to bottom of my container. So my container is 400 pixels tall, so this is occupying the entire 400 pixels. Okay, because we did not define any grid template rows here, so it's automatically occupying the entire space available. With that said, if I type justify content here, okay, so justify keyword, this keyword works on the main axis, that is this horizontal axis. Okay, similarly we have align keyword that has got align commands here in this, like I mentioned in this sheet. So the align command works from top to bottom. Okay, so here we have I believe 5 or 6 values. The first one is do not use flex start or flex end. Okay, it will work, but this is not recommended with grid. So with grid you can use instead of flex end, you can simply type end. That will give you the same result. And as you can notice, these dotted lines here, so these are not actually your this is not your area. This is a gap that was created for you when you want to align them to the end. Okay, if I just remove the grid, you see it's just a blank space that got created for you. Similarly, if I just type center, so this much blank space was created for you. And the thing to notice is that the entire set of columns, that is all these 3 columns, are moving together. Okay, for you when you use justify content, right? So this is all about justify content. It moves your entire set of columns. Okay, if I put a grid gap also here so that you can understand that it moves entire set. Okay, so you just keep a watch here. You see the gaps also move along with these, and the first column extends this much. Okay, because now my first column is starting from here, not from here. This is my first line number. Okay, so let me remove this. Now we are talking about align items. So align items will target these individual boxes which are currently occupying only 100 pixels in height, and if I want, I can move them to end like this, to the center this, or to the start like this. Okay, but if my height of the boxes tend to occupy the entire space, so this won't work, because it's virtually it's not moving. I mean, there is no space to move basically. But if it's lower than 100%, then definitely it will work. Okay, so there has to be some room for these elements to move vertically. That's what I mean. Okay, so let's jump onto justify items. So justify items again will move the elements from left to right, but this time I'm gonna make the columns a little bit bigger so I can see 400 400 400 and I'll not make them to occupy the entire space, because justify items will move the items within its grid container from left to right. So by default it's in the start position. Okay, if I wanted them all to be aligned to the end of its respective grid, okay, I can do that. Also I can put them in the center like this. So if you're wondering that if we can use justify content and justify center both together, then yes, of course you can do that, but the only thing you should keep in mind that the width of the container of the div elements or the inside items should not be 100%. It should be less than 100%. Then only this justify items will work. So justify content center, so it will push the entire grid to the center of this page and also center the items inside this grid cell. I mean, similarly, align content. Okay, so align content will work, or yeah, align content will work if you have multiple rows. See, it's gone now. So I only have I don't have multiple rows. If I have multiple rows, grid template rows, let's say 200 pixels, 200 pixels, 200 pixels. So now if you see that my align items, earlier we saw align items, right, like this. So it's moving the items inside its container from top to bottom. But if I want to move the entire if I want to shift the entire what you call let me just lower down this to 50 pixels, because my container height is 400. I did not notice that earlier. I'm so sorry about that. Okay, now I will be able to see it in a better manner. So this is my rows. These are my rows 1, 2, 3, and I centered my items with this command. Now I want to center the entire grid on this page. So I will use align content center. You see, it's pushed from the top, and I can also use end if I want, but the content will remain centered within their respective containers. Okay, so these four properties, they very much depend on your grid template rows and your grid template columns values here. But let's say you want the first item only to start from the left and the third item to start from the end. So you cannot do it with these four commands here, because these will target the entire set of items inside your grid. So, so we have a couple of commands here with the same keywords but ending with the uh, self keyword. Okay, so for example, we want the first item to start from the left. Okay, so I can do that because my uh, the width of my first element is not occupying the entire width of my first column. I can move it from left to right, I can slide it. Okay, but I cannot I can align it vertically, but you won't see the difference because it's too small. I can make it larger, like 150, 150, 150, and increase this to 450. Okay, so it's a little bit off, but we are good with it. And the height is 40%. Okay, so now I position this to the left and I want this to go down till to the bottom. Okay, I'll use align self end. See, this gives you a finer control. And of course margin and padding will still work. So if I use margin left 10 pixels, so it still works. Okay, 100 pixels, so that will still work. This is your general layout. So if I want this to go top, go on, to stick on the top and on the center, so what I can do and say align cell start. Okay, so it's extending, so it's fine because my grid is a little bit off here. And this I want to stick to the top right corner here, so I'll say justify self. To move it on the right, I'll use end, and to stick it to the top, I'll use align self start. There you go. I hope this tutorial will clear your doubts on how to use these keywords or properties with display grid. And with display flex, you won't be able to use justify self because flexbox does not support it. You can use align self, it will work only for the cross axis. And similarly I believe justify items will might work, but align content will not work. I'm not sure because I've never tried these properties with flexbox. Okay, so there are a couple of properties which uh, which are basically a shorthand for these two. So if I say place items center and I remove align items and justify items, it will give me the same results. Okay, so if I remove this, you see place items center. Similarly I can have place content center, but make sure um, you are using only one value here. I'm not sure if I can put like this center and if that will work. No, it will not work. You can only use one value. So you can use these two properties only when both the justify content and align content have the same value. And these two properties are not supported by every single browser in the market. So make sure you check the uh, supportability or compatibility rather uh, with the browser that you're going to target. Okay, so it's always good to use align and justify individually, like align items center, justify items center, then align content center, justify content center. Okay, so I hope you guys uh, have learned something from this tutorial, and I hope I was able to make you understand how the align and justify properties work with CSS Grid. If you have any comments or suggestions, please feel free to write in the comment section below. And if you want to see tutorials or videos on some specific topic related to web development, please feel free to let me know. So with that, please don't forget to subscribe my channel, and if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. See you guys soon and have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you.